I'm sneaking out of my host family's house. Let's go. It's 5:43 a.m.
Hello everyone, how are we doing on this sunny, beautiful day? Welcome back or welcome here if you are just joining us. So I need to chat to you guys about this series of videos that went viral yesterday, the day before that over on TikTok with this girl called Ella Catherine. She went viral because she did this video right up here where it was sneaking out of my host family's home in Italy at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, I'm literally shaking. That was the scariest thing ever. I couldn't figure out how to get past the gate, but I got it. And carrying all these bags, it's kind of scary. I just hope the train comes soon. Okay, I made it to the airport. I had to take an Uber because the train wasn't coming for another 30 minutes. I'm at my check-in gate. I don't know when I'll get checked in, but I made it. Thank gosh. So I'm still sitting here at the airport. I haven't checked my bags because I couldn't check until 2.5 hours before my flight. And I came here like 5.5 hours before my flight. So yeah, I've just been chilling. Fortunately, didn't get any souvenirs for anyone nor myself. So I'm just taking a little gander at the Italian food. I still don't know my gate, so I can't go anywhere. Update, I got lunch. And I'm doing well on time, so I'll see you when I board my flight out of this dang city.
This video, like I've already said, it went viral. People were like, why would she sneak out? Are these people like axe murderers? What is going on? What is some shady business that's happening? She then later goes on, by later I mean yesterday, 5-part series detailing exactly what happened when she worked as an au pair in Italy.
This is the second problem. This was a huge problem because the host said spoke no English at all. He spoke as much English as I speak Italian, which is none. I can say ciao.
She decided to apply online for this job in Italy, in Milan, as an au pair. And in the end, she ended up having to sneak out of it at 5:30 in the morning, and it was all proper mysterious and crazy, and people were obviously very concerned. She then also did this video right up here, something about needing a cuddle. I want to go through this 5-part series with you guys. I will leave the very first one linked in the description box if you just want to watch them by yourself and then come back, or you want me to break them down and then also show it to you, whatever you want. But I'm going to be breaking down exactly what happened because everyone was very much on her side. And now, after she's released these videos, people are not happy with her.
I'm determined to become a full-time influencer in 2025, so let's make our dreams come true.
And I'm going to try and reserve most of my commentary until the end, or just do little bits in that, otherwise we're never going to get through this.
How and why I had to sneak out of my au pair family's house in Italy. I just want to first say that I did not expect at all that video to do what it is doing right now. I'm like still in shock, really like don't know what is happening right now. This is gonna be multiple parts, so I'm sorry, but it has to be that way because I have a lot to say. And I want to make a disclaimer, I did pay for my entire flight there and back. They paid for nothing.
So part 1 on her video series of why she had to sneak out of her host family's home. Now, if you're not entirely sure what an au pair is, my stepsister actually did au pairing in Dublin, I think, in Ireland, not that long ago. She told me all about it, but essentially you do it overseas. So a family will take you in and will give you board and food in return for you doing little bits of cleaning, generally looking after children. She had her sights set on Milan in Italy. She went onto this website called Au Pair World or something a bit like that, and she met with this mum and dad. She calls them host dad and host mum. She met with them, and yeah, it seemed like all sunshine and rainbows, and the mum really liked her. She does mention that she paid for the flights, however no contract was signed.
I can promise you this was not a vacation in my eyes. Like, I did not spend over $1,000 to fly there and back in less than a week. And I did my research, so all y'all can zip it. So I met my host family on Au Pair World. This is something that I've seen a lot of people do. It's not an agency, so it's not like official. I didn't pay for anything. We didn't sign any contracts. anything like that. The host mom reached out to me. She said she liked my profile. She wanted to get to know me more, wanted to chat with me. I read over her profile, and on there were the things I would be doing. This included waking her son up, getting him changed, giving him his milk, walking him to school at 8:30, picking him up from school at 6, so he was in school all day long, and heating up his dinner, and then I clean up after dinner. I also had Friday afternoons and weekends off. We FaceTimed twice. We got along very well. She was very talkative, seemed very nice, and I was really excited. I had let her know I was interested in coming to live with them. They agreed. They said that we'd be a good fit. So I then booked my flight to Italy and left for Italy 2 weeks later.
Okay, so no contract was signed, which is kind of red flag number one. So the jobs were waking son up, changing, giving him his milk, walking and dropping off from school to school, back from school, using public transportation or using walking, using your feet, heating up dinner, cleaning up after dinner. So that was generally what the vibes were. Of course, there was no contract. It wasn't in writing, but that was what she understood. As we're going to learn throughout all of this is that she did not learn any Italian before she went over. She could only say ciao.
And I did my research, so all y'all can zip it.
She did not understand any Italian. She couldn't read it. She couldn't speak it. So that's something to bear in mind.
So I was supposed to stay 85 days total, so about 3 months.
So when she arrives 2 weeks later, she gets all settled in to the house. She mentions that the very first red flag she came across was when she was sat down for lunch and the mum comes in and starts moaning about her job.
So I arrived in Italy Wednesday, April 2nd at 12 p.m. My host mom met me at the airport, picked me up, and we went back to their house. At this point, everything was good. I was still so excited to be there. We got home, I unpacked everything, and then we sat down to eat lunch. So this is the first red flag. At lunch, she starts ranting to me about her job. Apparently, she had been moved to a different position that was lower. I honestly don't know. It was hard for me to understand a lot of the times. I just know that she was not happy. She got moved to a different position. But that was the first red flag. She already started putting her problems, just ranting to me. And I had just got there.
Felt that the mum was putting all her problems and putting all this pressure on her, and she just arrived. She then has to go to the shops to go and get any lunches and breakfast things that she'd like, because of course she doesn't have to pay for the food. But instead of the mum taking her, the dad takes her. And this is when red flag number 2 comes along for her, because she doesn't understand any Italian.
This is the second problem. This was a huge problem, because the host dad spoke no English at all. He spoke as much English as I speak Italian, which is none. I can say ciao. This was one of the main problems, because they needed an au pair because the host dad is gone Monday through Thursday. He travels for his job. I was expecting the host mom to be teaching me these things, but instead I go to the store with the host dad. It's quite awkward because it's just silent. He can't speak to me. I can't communicate to him. When we're in the store, it's hard to communicate. We're just using Google Translate for everything. But we go to the store, we get the things we needed, and we get back home. One of my jobs is picking up the host child from school. Instead of showing me how to use public transport or the way to walk to get to his school, he took the car, which, okay, it's the first day. I'm okay with that. I didn't think anything of it, honestly, but as the story goes on, you'll see the problem.
When they came back and she was expecting to be taught how to, operate the stoves and do all this and that, mum wasn't there, the dad was doing it, but once again, she doesn't understand. And she states that the stoves and the ovens are different in other countries, therefore she couldn't work out how to use any of them.
The host dad tried to show me how to heat up his dinner, which it was very difficult because, again, there's a language barrier, and the stoves, the oven, everything is different in a different country.
Now, bear this in mind. The reasoning as to why the mum and dad are around so much and she's not on her own, this was meant to be the time period in which they were going to be teaching her how to do things, so that when they went on to the actual first working week, she'd be left alone with the child, so she kind of knows how to do things. Third red flag was that after dinner, Ella really wanted to go to bed. However, she couldn't go to bed because the mum wanted her to bathe the child. Now, if we go back on the list of things you had to do, I don't see bathing being mentioned. So bathing's not necessarily being mentioned, but I really think there's a lack of communication going on here, and you're going to understand this throughout.
The host child eats. I'm still playing with him. Host mom says she gets off of work 7:30, 8 at the latest, and we'd eat when she gets home, and she'd be cooking dinner for us every night. But about 9 o'clock, the host mom gets home from work. She doesn't seem happy about work and about her situation there. But I still didn't pick up these cues until a few days later. We eat dinner that, mind you, the host dad cooked for us, not the host mom. And then the host mom shows me what I need to be doing after dinner: put away the dishes, clean the pots and the pans, wipe down the counters. None of this was an issue because I knew this was what I would be doing. After I did everything, I thought I was good to go to bed. It was pretty late at this point, but I said I was going to bed, and she told me I needed to come bathe the host child. Which, one thing about me, I'm not good with confrontation, and I am not good at like sticking up for myself, so that was one of the issues as well, and that's on me. So I did it. I gave the host boy a bath. She like showed me how to do it, although I know how to bathe a child. She was just very particular about everything. Like, everything had to be done her way.
Third part, she is still as confused as ever. Everyone was, still trying to work out what was the big thing that led you sneaking out at 5:30 in the morning. She discloses that once again she gets up and the dad is still present, but of course they're not understanding each other, and there's a language barrier going on, and there's a lot of Google Translate.
I got up around 8, and the host dad and the host child come out into the kitchen. The host dad gives him his milk. Again, this is the problem. The host mom is the only one that speaks English here. The host dad speaks as much English as I speak Italian, which is none. The host child doesn't speak English either. The host dad is trying to show me how to do these things, but there's this big language barrier here. So this is why I just didn't understand why she couldn't have been helping me. The host dad got him his milk, didn't show me how to heat it up, didn't show me how much I'm giving him, nothing like that. And the host mom was still sleeping. By the time we were ready to leave to take him to school, it was late and we had to take the car again, which I still needed to learn how to use the public transport or to walk the directions to get there. So we drive, take him to school. It's awkward, it's hard to communicate, but I do it. And then when I returned home, I decided to take a little nap. I was still jet lagged a little bit, so I took about a 2-hour nap, and I wake up to the host mom texting me, "Hi Ella, where are you?" So I get out of bed, I go into the kitchen, and she's there. Also, I didn't understand this because I thought she was supposed to be at work. She tells me that I should go walk around. So I'm like, okay, let me just get out. So I make myself some lunch and then I head out. This was my first full day in Milan.
Look, Ella is very happy to be outside of the house. She says that she doesn't like being inside the house, and whenever she's outside of the house, she feels a lot better.
When I was in the house, I felt like trapped. I felt uncomfortable. It was just not what I was expecting at all. I got home again. We drove to pick up the boy, and I was with the host dad again because the host mom had gone to work later. Got home. The host dad tried again to show me how to make his dinner, and then after he eats, we go into the living room, hang out, and the host dad goes to pick up the host mom from work. Oh, why'd they leave me alone with him so long when I'm just learning, and I barely learned anything because of this language barrier? I had to give him a bath again that night, which is fine. I would have done it and been happy doing it if it was what she had said I would be doing, but instead she said I would be cleaning up after dinner while she gives him a bath because she wants to spend time with him because she's at work all day.
On to part 4. So part 4, she finally asks the dad to show her how to use a public transport, but of course all of this was a little bit pointless considering she doesn't speak any Italian and he doesn't speak any English. I'm probably aware of what a lot of you guys are thinking. I do think that if you are going to work in another country, you should know how to speak even a little bit of the language just to get you by. You can't expect someone who lives in another country to understand your language.
So this morning went exactly the same as the previous morning, except this morning I stood up for myself a little bit. I asked if we could please take public transport so I could learn how to do it, because Monday I would have been doing it by myself. So again, the host dad and I take the host child to school, but we use public transport. So he's trying to show me how to use public transport. We're just kind of looking at his phone because, again, the language barrier. If you go back in my other videos, you know that the number one problem is that the host mom isn't helping me at all. She's the only one that speaks English. I had the day to myself. This was the day that I met up with the other girls, and it was super fun. I vlogged that day as well. At around 2 o'clock, I text the host mom asking what time I should be home so that we can go pick up the host child, and she replies to me saying saying that the host dad's gonna pick him up and I didn't need to come home. Because again, normally I would have my Friday afternoons off. I hang out with my friends a little longer and then I walk home. When I get home, I decided to call my parents. No one was home at that point. I called my dad and mom for the first time since I had been in Italy. I was very emotional.
This was the day where she has the afternoons off. So in her original thing, it said that she has Friday afternoons off and then the weekends off. So I'm assuming she has like a few hours during the Friday, presumably when the kid isn't even there anyway, because he gets picked up from school at about 6 p.m. So she has that time off. So understandably, what I understand from that is that she would then have to be back home to do the whole, pick up from school and then, give them food, give them milk, bathe, bed, that kind of vibe. And the kid and the dad then come back. And she then decides to go off and read a Kindle whilst the boy is playing next to her and the dad is doing all of the dinner and all of that kind of stuff.
I texted her about 6 p.m. asking when she'd be home. She said about 10 minutes. So I get in the shower, I shower. At this point, the host dad and the host child were home. So I grab my Kindle and I go out to the couch and I hang out with the host child. He's playing, I'm reading. The host dad makes the host child dinner, gives him a bath, and then he's like still playing. At this point, it's like 9 p.m. The host mom is still not home. This is the first instance when my red flag alert immediately started going off. So she comes home a little bit after 9 p.m.
Now, allegedly, the mum comes in, catches her on the Kindle, tells her off for being on the Kindle, and then tells her off because she's meant to be doing the stuff that the dad is doing. At this point, the mum is getting pretty annoyed with Ella because, from my own understanding anyway, she is only supposed to have afternoons off.
She comes into the living room and proceeds to raise her voice at me. She was not happy that I was sitting there reading. She asked me why the host dad was doing everything, why I wasn't helping him cook dinner, why I didn't bathe him, why I wasn't playing with him, why I wasn't cleaning up his toys, all of these things. And I was just honestly confused. I apologized because that's just what I do. I apologized. I said, I'm sorry. This is maybe a miscommunication. I thought that I had off. You had told me I didn't have to go pick him up from school. I'm sorry. And she kind of just said, you need to be paying attention, and then just walked away. And we eat dinner. I cleaned up, and then we had a tablecloth on the table that we didn't have previously. I asked her what I can do with the tablecloth, and she tells me to ask the host dad. I just couldn't understand why she couldn't have just told me what to do with the tablecloth and why I had to go ask the host dad. When the host dad doesn't speak English, oh my gosh.
No, see, I reckon the reasoning why she was forced to speak to the host dad all the time was because the mum needed her to learn some Italian and was actually trying to help her. See, one of the greatest ways of learning a new language is to literally just thrust your way into it. Yes, spend time on your own teaching yourself how to learn languages, but just being involved and only speaking to people who speak the language, who don't really speak your language. So you're forced to have to learn it. That was the reasoning why, because the mum clocked on that, hey, this girl has come here but she doesn't know any Italian. There's no point talking to me. She's going to have to learn some. So just, go ask them. She's trying to parent her in a way. At least that's what I'm taking from it. The woman was trying to just force her to learn the language because, yeah, I mean, I don't know why she took this job when she really had no interest in learning the language. Of course, he's not likely to speak English because he's Italian,
So part 5 is when Ella has kind of decided that she's had enough. So she decides to go with them on this day trip, this little outing that they're having. She states that even though it is her time off because it's the weekend, she still wants to go with them. Ella states that she's having to carry the child a lot and that she's having to push the pram quite a lot, and that a lot of the responsibilities of the child is being put on her, and Ella doesn't find this fair whatsoever.
This day was the day that broke me. I just want to remind everyone that Friday afternoons, Saturday and Sunday were my days off. I chose to spend it with them that day. We were going to Portofino. They were going to show me around Portofino. So I woke up at 8:15, got ready for the day, and was out and ready to leave by 9. The night before, the host mom had told me we were leaving no later than 9. She walks out of her room at a little past 9 in her pajamas. She had just gotten up, gotten out of bed. And honestly, this like really annoyed me because I was tired too. She had me up late the last night. She slept in and I was ready at 9. I didn't say anything. Of course I didn't. She got ready, I dressed the host child, and we left.
If I may interject, so this would have been the perfect opportunity for her to say, hey, am I on duty today? Is this a vacation trip? Am I able to relax with some margaritas? Or am I working? But instead, she got the child dressed, which to me would signal that she is in fact working. It's all very confusing.
Got focaccia for lunch, which was really good. This was at about 12. Afterwards, we went to a beach and we sat there for about 3 to 4 hours. So after the beach, we got up, we walked around. This was about 5 p.m. And then host mom decided she wanted to stop at another pretty town. I'll say I was being left with the host child a lot. He's a slow walker, so they were walking way in front of me. And I wasn't gonna just leave the child, so I was walking with him, either holding his hand, or at times I'd pick him up and we'd run to catch up with them. They were just kind of like ignoring me and just leaving me with him. Again, it was my day off, but I chose to be there with them.
When they decide to get back into the car, the mum shouts at Ella and says that you haven't been paying attention and that you need to be reading to my child and you need to be doing this and that. You're not pulling your weight. Now, I think there was a big miscommunication going on here because supposedly if weekends are normally your time off but you're choosing to spend time with the family, unless you communicated that properly, efficiently, it may come across as if you're wanting to go with them as an au pair, rather than I'm just going there by myself. Does this make any sense whatsoever? Because of course you have that language barrier there. They may have been thinking, oh, she's just wanting to work, rather than it being a trip, like if you want to go away and do a trip, just take yourself off and do it yourself.
She gets in the car, raises her voice at me again, saying that I wasn't paying attention, I haven't been helping at all today, and I'm not learning. First off, I was pushing the stroller at least half that day. I held his hand, I carried him. I stayed back with him while they were way ahead of us. So I was paying attention. I just wasn't understanding. But I was just okay. I just kept saying okay. There was no point in arguing with her. I decided I wanted to leave. I changed my flight to the next day. I do want to say I didn't tell them that I wanted to leave for multiple reasons. One, I felt uncomfortable. I didn't necessarily feel safe. Two, the host dad's job, I'm not gonna say a lot of details. It was something in a field that made me uncomfortable and kind of made me a little bit scared. And I didn't know how she would react. Decided that I just needed to get out of the house. I felt super trapped. On the car ride back home, we get stuck in massive standstill traffic. I was exhausted, so I fall asleep in the car. And then the host mom wakes me up and she turns around, she raises her voice again and starts telling me that I need to be reading to the host child. I need to be teaching him English, interacting with him, and again paying attention.
I'm really trying not to pick holes, but I did find a video where she states that she booked a one-way flight. This was before she went out to Milan.
You guys, I just booked a one-way flight to Milan, Italy. Oh my god.
So did she book a one-way flight or did she book return tickets? I'm a little bit confused.
Didn't feel safe. She wanted to get out of there, and the dad had a job that she doesn't want to mention, but she didn't want to confront him because she got freaked out about his work. I would love to know what the hell this work was, but she was scared of him for that reasoning, and that's the reason why she didn't say anything. Anyway, following all of this, she decides to pack up her bags and sneak out of there and uses all of that as a justification.
I'm sneaking out of my host family's house.
If you are still here after all of those videos, please can you put a little banana in the chat? I would absolutely love to see it. The thing that we have, right, I was expecting something more dramatic to come of that, considering this was what she posted. She made it seem like she was going to be buried underneath the floorboards, when really I think a lot of it does just come down to miscommunication. And as much as I wouldn't want to be shouted at by anyone, because I'm actually very low level tolerance of people shouting, I'm not as young as I was. I wouldn't deal with that. Unless that woman was like batshit crazy, it kind of does seem like the mum was expecting her to do more. But of course, there was no contract really signed, so who is going to know? There's nothing in writing. Sounds like it was all verbal. But then, of course, Ella doesn't speak any Italian. So you're in a rock and a hard place if you're even unwilling to learn it. I'm not entirely sure why you'd want to go to another country and work there if you are refusing to learn the language. Because at that point, if you're feeling really uncomfortable because you can't understand someone, I'd be going to bed at night trying to teach myself some basic Italian, because I wouldn't want to be stuck in that situation. There's a lot of sentiment that she was treating it like a holiday, and when she was being asked to work, despite the fact that yes, no one really wants to be shouted at, when she was being asked to work, she was almost shocked by it. Someone said there's a lot of expectation on these people to speak English when you are the one in their country. Someone else said, you were 100% trying to live in Italy for 3 months without actually having to do anything. And Ella said, okay, LOL. A lot of people saying, I don't know, I think a lot of it has to do with the language barrier, which I feel should be expected in another country. I really don't see the problem. This was your first full day, so of course there's going to be some things to learn, and that could be awkward, but I definitely wouldn't call any of this red flags.
And I did my research, so all y'all can zip it.
I think a lot of it has to do with the culture shock and people not understanding that you are in another country and they're not going to speak your language. The culture is going to be different. I don't want to just be putting all Italians into a box, because that's not what I'm trying to do at all. I don't like putting any country into this like stereotypical box. But I will say most Italian people I've met, and I have met quite a few, a lot of Italian exchange students, are very expressive. They're very loud. They use their hands. A lot of them, when they're passionate and when they're talking, it just rises up through their body. It's lovely. I absolutely love it because I'm someone that talks with their hands anyway. What I'm trying to say with that is that maybe Ella didn't understand that when the mum was ranting about her day and she sounded all da. Maybe that's just the way that she generally expresses herself. Or when she gets annoyed, maybe she just sounds over, enthusiastic about it. Because once again, it's just a change in culture. It's a change of people using their mannerisms and expressions differently. What a lot of people are falling back on is the fact that, did she just want a holiday out of this? First and foremost, in this situation, sign contracts. You would not catch me on an airplane agreeing to stay somewhere for 3 months being an au pair in someone else's house and not have a contract. Now, yes, she does look kind of young. I'm not entirely sure how old she is, but before you do anything like that again, number 1, sign the contract. Number 2, maybe learn the language before you go. Pick up a little bit of that culture. Just read about the culture in general. Make sure you know what you're doing before you go in, because I will agree with a lot of people. I don't feel like that was justifiable for just sneaking out at 5:30 in the morning, and people are going above and beyond to tell her this. They're commenting on that original video saying don't even bother watching the 5-part series. That's another thing as well. She, instead of uploading one 10-minute long video, which this could have been, she uploaded 5 parts. 5 parts, which obviously would mean that people would then, more people would have to be clicking on it, which would be more revenue. However, because of that, people are then, questioning just why would you bring us into 5 parts. Some people are saying that this isn't even true, and that in actual fact, she's just saying this because she wants to get views. I will be honest, if you were saying this just to get views, surely you'd come up with a better story. That's just what I'm thinking. This was a made-up story. It would be a very boring one, because nothing of any flavour really happened apart from her getting shouted at a couple of times because she wasn't doing her job. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, how did you guys like that video? What do you think about this situation? Please let me know down in the comment section. I am actually going to be away for the next couple of days. I'm having a long weekend, so anything you see after this video right here, it is pre-recorded. Okay, so I will get to anything else that happens over the weekend next week, I promise. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.